Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that when you take a close look at Marvel Studios, it definitely is, without a doubt, one of the most failed divisions over at the Disney company, alongside Lucasfilm. We know that their 2025 lineup is looking to be an epic disaster across any kind of expectations by both Kevin Feige and Bob Iger. We know that they are setting themselves up for failure, and of course, they know that the customers are very well knowledgeable about what's going on with Fantastic Four, Blade, as well as everything related to the ongoing situation with Thunderbolts, and that's just the beginning. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about Deadpool 3 is that this is the one movie that Disney is banking on. They are placing all bets on this film to at least, at the very minimum, make a decent profit at the box office, in theaters across the board, and to really just kind of bring the Marvel Cinematic Universe back on its feet. Now, I've said this from day one, that even if Deadpool 3 does a very good job at the box office, it's not enough to save the MCU. It's not enough to save for what's looming in 2025, with Blade, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and among other titles releasing in that year. Now, moving on forward, what's interesting has a lot to do with actor Hugh Jackman, and of course Bob Iger and Kevin Feige's push for reshoots revolving around Deadpool 3 and all the chaos happening behind the scenes with this movie. Let's get into this, shall we? Now, specifically, we know that one great thing about Ryan and Shawn, Levy, the director of the film, is that they actually had a lot of creative power over the trailer of Deadpool 3 and just the last couple of weeks to kind of flip-flop things over and to at least make the trailer decent compared to what it was going to be by Disney. Now, on top of this, with all divisions over at Disney beginning to crumble with no signs of improvement for 2025, one crucial development to Disney's situation has much to do with the Deadpool 3 drama that has been an ongoing issue ahead of the reshoots planned by Bob Iger and Kevin Feige. Now, a huge update to the drama surrounding the film involves how recently actor Hugh Jackman joined the ongoing battle between the creators and the Disney heads over planned reshoots that are being forced by Disney that will include gender-swapped versions of the X-Men characters that are considered classics. Now, one surprising turn of events is that after Hugh Jackman, of course, joined Ryan Reynolds, Shawn Levy, Rhett Reese, and Paul Wernick in taking a stand against Disney to save the third act of the film, Jackman gave Disney a serious ultimatum that he would be willing to drop out and not appear at the world premiere of the film if Iger and Kevin Feige move forward with plans to support reshoots that would involve gender-swapped and/or race-swapped versions of the X-Men characters that were considered classics, that fans grew up with that, of course, that were going to battle and replace the true classic characters in a fight scene planned before the credits would even roll. Now, a huge, of course, victory came out of this due to Hugh Jackman putting his foot down against Disney and standing up for Ryan and Shawn, Rhett, and Paul, where both Bob Iger and Kevin Feige reportedly backed down and are no longer moving forward with plans for reshoots that will involve gender-swapped versions of Magneto, Cyclops, Juggernaut, and among other popular male X-Men characters from both the comics and the Fox movies. Now, though reshoots are still planned in several different ways by Disney, this was a huge chunk of the planned reshoots that were cancelled by both Disney and Marvel Studios after Jackman was, of course, the final push that Ryan and Shawn needed to convince Disney to back down or else. Now, Deadpool 3 is considered the first Disney movie in recent years where the actors, writers, and the directors hold influence over ridding of DEI and agenda-driven strategies in a multi-million-dollar film. The reshoots were planned to also involve the gender-swapped versions of the X-Men male characters to gain the upper hand over Deadpool and Wolverine in the final battle after the true classic X-Men characters would be erased somehow from history. This is a huge Feige plan, by the way, from the very beginning, that was supported by Bob Iger, that lasted a couple of months until recently. Jackman's ultimatum was the final nail in the coffin for Disney's plans to gender and race swap popular X-Men characters on the big screen. However, Disney is still on a mission to insert DEI into the third act through other methods and strategies that the creatives, including Jackman, are still challenging to this day in a desperate move to save what could be the most successful film in the Marvel Universe since Endgame. Now guys, let me just stop here before I move on. Now, this is exactly why I move to say that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are very passionate about this movie. They want to make sure that it is going to be a good film, regardless of what Disney's trying to do, regardless of what Bob Iger and Kevin Feige are trying to push with this movie. Now, here's the problem, is that we know that Disney wants to insert DEI in some way, shape, or form into this movie at all costs. They want to make sure that it slips in there somehow, some way. The good news is that they are backing down and have caved on several occasions due to Hugh Jackman, Ryan, Rhett, Paul, and Shawn really standing their ground and defending themselves to make sure that this movie is going to be for the fans in the most accurate way possible. So again, we know that Deadpool 3 is the one movie that Disney is hoping, they are crossing their fingers, that this is going to make a profit at the box office to kind of shy away from all the failures throughout 2023. We all saw what happened with Wish, The Marvels, and among others like Ant-Man 3, Quantumania. A lot of movies failed throughout, of course, in recent months, and it's not looking good for 2025. That's why I said, even if this movie does well, it's not going to be enough to save the Marvel Cinematic Universe per se. We already know that many titles in 2025 are going to be woke disasters. That's just a given fact. And Bob Iger is really responsible for that. And it's not just him, by the way. I mean, Kevin Feige is also to blame here, and also the board of directors. But it's really all rooted down to BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street funding all this nonsense. Now, moving onwards. Jackman also recently warned Disney that he would be willing to shoot down more movie roles for, of course, Marvel Studios that Disney is pushing for with Wolverine, one of which being Secret Wars, that Disney is desperate to get Jackman back for, and this also is what caused Disney to cave to the Deadpool 3 creators' demands to prevent reshoots that involves the swapped X-Men characters. So here's another fine example of, you have all of these people associated with the production of the third Deadpool film taking a stand, putting their foot down, and going into a head-on-head battle with Disney, and it's working to a degree. I mean, it really is like punching a brick wall, and they really are trying to get through that brick wall at best as possible, and they've made some success, succession stories there to the point where you have a lot of things going on between the cast, the crew, the corporate ladder over at Disney. And it's really something that they are trying to do to save the third act of this film. So I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. And I will catch you guys later.